the precision bore measurements, I'm going to make a third video with kind of like a final conclusion on it. Actually, for the average guy looking at one of these M91 30s, it's going to be impossible to make an accurate assessment of the bore. It's just the way it is. Last batch I got from AIM Surplus were so packed in grease you couldn't tell if there was really what the bore was like. Some of the companies, some of them I got were cleaned and cleaned out, and you could hold them up and look at the bore or use a bore light. And you know, so I thought one was bad. Then I went and really cleaned it, you know, run a bronze brush through it, and actually ended up cleaning up a lot better. So it's a tough call. In the end, it's best to just hope that you can go where the gun is, hold the gun up or get a bore light, and then use your judgment. Some are more worn than others, and it might take you a bit. Get a new rifle and look at what a new rifle barrel, commercial one, looks like. And then try looking at one of these, and you can see where the edges of the lands and grooves are a little bit rounded off in that. And it's probably the best you're going to do, or the bullet test if you can get away with doing that. Like I said, at a gun show it would be kind of tough. But if you can compare each one with the tip of a bullet, it's probably the best on-the-fly way of doing it. Now another thing I found out is using these gauge pins like I went through. I got a comment from a viewer, and all I got was a number for his username. 314299 was all I got on the comment. And he was correct. He brought something up. As you remember, I say you take the gauge pins, put it in the bore, you know, which one's which going. Well, he said that barrels through use will be eroded from the muzzle down. And when he made this comment, I went and checked. And sure enough, I found out these gauge pins on some of these rifles, if I got one to slide in, would go in, and they're 2 inches long. Okay, so the first 2 inches is all you're checking the most. They'd go in, but then, if I took a cleaning rod and pushed them down the barrel, they go in so far, and they'd stop. We'll take a measurement this way. We got 13 or 14 on the rod. Say 14 and a half. Add 2 inches for the gauge pin, so 16 and a half inches. That, you know, the bore starts to tighten up 16 and a half inches down from the muzzle. And then probably the next size pin would go through the bore completely. So what I'm going to do, and this is just for my own use, and as you're following along in this, is now I'm going to have to remeasure all these guns. I'm going to find a gauge pin that fits, measure how far it goes down. Like this one went down quite a way. Some of them go down like 6 inches, 3 inches. Some of them go all the way down to almost the chamber itself. So really, it's kind of, you know, getting this picky measuring the bore for erosion. At least I'll know. And then we can compare it. I'm going to take them off, shoot them off the bench. And then I'll have this information, and we'll look at the targets, look at the results, look at the ammunition, and see how it affects the accuracy of the guns. In other words, we'll check measurements against guns that aren't that accurate to ones that are very accurate, and see how the groove diameters and all the other stuff varies. And that's basically just kind of the fun of being able to do it. The average person won't be able to do it. And I guess it goes back, you buy a rifle, shoot it. If it shoots good, keep it. If it doesn't, sell it, buy another one. That's about the only advice I can give you. It's probably the simplest way to sort through these, and because I've started some test firing. Some of these guns are accurate and right on, and some of them are about average, like, you know, it's like any military rifle that's been used, you know, about 3-4 inch spread. So that's what we're going to do, and that's my conclusion, is basically, if you can get a hold of guns and look down the bore, use your best judgment, and there's still really, because you can't see erosion like that. you can't tell if the bore's tapered. But some of them are, and I think that problem Log Cabin Looms has about the barrel heating up, he might have a barrel like this where once it heats up, you know, he's like, the bullet's free riding down the end of the muzzle. Because when you drive a lead slug through the bore, when you slug the bore, it's going to measure the tightest spot. And the tightest spot in this is from down here, you know, that's 14 inches down, 14 and a half inches down, and 16 and a half down. You're only measuring about 12 inches of the barrel with that slug. It's 12 inches of that has that tightness, not the whole length. So that's the one thing about slugging a bore. When you slug a bore, you're going to measure the tightest spot, which on this gun is only about 12 inches of the last end of the barrel. So that's something to take into consideration. But that's where we're going with it. And I'll make notations, and then when we review the results, I'll have all these little things, these little factors in there we can calculate and make a review, just out of interest more than anything. Okay?